two examples, no, that we have on this page, explaining how you can make these adaptations for these new assessment tasks. No? And then 5 minutes, and then right after that we'll have Abby do the workshop. That's characteristics of some template. Yeah, great. Okay, so these two examples here. No, great. Yeah. So as you can see from the example that we saw, the assessment task template on the previous page, no, we can get this. Yeah, but we can go back. We can go to the multiple assessment tasks. No. Yeah, great. To this page here. Yeah. And so, for example, from this, using this template, we can get this model assessment task. No. For example, here, students are given a list of 5 musical instruments, and they have to write, for example, as the author shows here, write a descriptive paragraph, no, 100 to 130 words, use the same structures that we have been using in class, blah, blah, blah. All that you can see here. You have 45 minutes, okay? So that is the model. No? Now, taking the model, no, and changing something, no, you create task 2. No? What changes here is the topic, no? So because you have a different topical content, no, from task 1. So the writing prompt is this: now choose a piece of laboratory equipment that you're going to have used, that you are using or you have used in your science. No? 100 to 100 words to 130 words, physical description, the way that it works, blah blah blah. No? And then it says you have 45 minutes for the paragraph to write your paragraph. And so the scoring method is basically the same, because you are describing all 4 aspects of writing, no? Achievement, grammar, vocabulary, and the other, no? And so, and then the scoring method will be the same, no? Would be the same that we used that we saw in tables 9.2 and 9.4. Then in task 3, you're going to change the genre of the writing, no? The genre and the topical content. No? So you make these 2 changes in the task characteristics. So again, 100 to 130 words, 45 minutes. No? But now they have to write a biography. No? So a biography is different from writing a descriptive paragraph. No? So it's a different genre. And again, they have 45 minutes. And so the scoring method is the same, because you're also testing the same 4 aspects of writing, no? Achievement, vocabulary, grammar, and mechanics. So, okay. So using the original task template on the previous page, you create this model, and from the model you create 2 or 3 different assessment tasks, no? But that belong to the same group, no? Yep. So that's basically what I wanted to say. Then you can look at, well, then for homework, you can do activity 9.1. Well, on page 117. Yeah. Well, we have to do a little reading, no? You guys have to read page 118, 19, where you have the task characteristics of assessment task template, the recording form. Yeah. Well, there's still some reading that we have to do. Great. Well, I hope that we, well, depending on how long Abby takes, well, hopefully we can resume this section after Gabby's presentation. If not, you have to read that for Thursday. No, Thursday we have to finish Unit 9, Chapter 9. No, reviewing this other assessment tasks, and then we have to see chapter 10, no? Well, not entirely, but at least the main aspects. And then next week you have these presentations. No? Great. So now, Abby, no?
Yes, Prof.
Yes.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Um, okay, can you see it?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I will present you a review of some concepts we have already seen in class. Please pay attention because we will do some activities after the presentation ends.
Great.
So let's begin. Um, let's see. Next slide. Okay. First of all, we need to understand the difference between assessment and tasting.
Fantastic.
Uh, uh-huh. However, both components are essential parts of any class. Um, as we know, assessment is the process of identification of the strengths and weaknesses of our students in order to implement new strategies and stuff. For example, as you can see in the first image, the teacher and the students are working together. In class, teachers must or should monitor what their students are doing, helping them whenever they have a doubt or concern about any topic. Uh-huh. Usually, by encouraging activities or projects, the class can develop new communicational skills, which will be useful later in life. Um, Conversely, testing is the process of determining, measuring the skill level that a person has reached in the course by an evaluation. For example, any activity that relies on measuring your students' performance may fall into this category. Um, this is a part of the class where students are not are not developing new abilities, but using what they already know, um, and testing our students usually serves two purposes. First, to compilate their grades in order to decide who are ready to continue to the following year or level. Uh, Second, to analyze the topics where they have more problems with, since a test is usually the compilation of many topics, usually to organize questions on each one. Uh, this this may help to have a clear perspective of their abilities. Okay, let's see the next slide. Um, okay, then we have the concept of continuous assessment, which is the educational process that goes on along the year, and it has an informal and formative nature, which contributes to our students' grades and, of course, their knowledge about the subject. Assessment can contribute, um, um, let me see, okay. This can contribute to develop our students' abilities independently or regarding it is graded or not. When our kids or teenagers' knowledge is constantly um, questioned, they get to learn or engage on topics that and vocabulary that contribute to their communicational skills. So next one. Okay. Additionally, assessment, as we already know and we have studied, assessment is divided in formative and summative assessment. First, formative assessment, it is used to monitor students' learning and providing feedback when, of course, it is necessary. Um, Also, it is an ongoing process that usually carries no grade. For example, whatever comment or clarification a teacher provides to the class during an activity counts as formative assessment because it is meant to clarify or correct an aspect related to the class that may not be so clear. So yeah, okay. Next slide. Um, Second, summative. Oh, okay. Let me go back. I think. Okay. Second, summative assessment is used to grade our students' performance by comparing it against some standard that we have. It usually comes after checking the the end of an instructional unit. For example, remember that after having checked a unit in advanced grammar, we usually have a test about it. Whether it's completing a sheet of paper, a sheet of exercises, or a test in the online platform, we always have a grade for for that. Okay, now it's time to go next slide. So okay, now let's check some characteristics of formative and summative assessment. That okay, we have it here. First, as I said before, formative assessment is an ongoing part of any class. Second, it helps teachers to keep track on their students' progress. Third, analysis students' performance by checking what they did well um, on what they didn't. An example of formative assessment is when teachers ask their students to write some sentences using the structure that they have studied in class. So this activity usually does not carry a grade because knowledge may not be um, engaged in yet in the mind of the learners. So therefore, it is useful to carry on with activities that requires the use of new vocabulary and structures. Okay. Summative, let's see some elements about summative assessment, and it is this process contains the following elements: authenticity, that it is a test. It says that that a test um, should should exam well, how can I say, should be should be designed as real world applications. Okay. um, a second, reliability test is related with tests given a summative assessment assessment that should hold up in another settings or with another set of students. Volume, uh, here we have that summative assessment should be used only when it is absolutely necessary to determine the level of learning that has been achieved. For validity, uh, that is concerned with the testing needs to reflect the objectives taught in a certain period of time. The last one, variety. Testing should always include cognitive, physical, motor, and affective learning domains. For example, whenever you are going to grade your students, you probably want to make sure that the test you created is suitable as possible with your students' ability, and also that it evaluates exactly what you need. As in a writing assignment, you may not evaluate the speaking, or in a listening activity, you may not evaluate reading, of course. Okay, next slide. Um, what about a washback? Um, Positive, we have positive and negative washback. Positive washback encourage language learning. We have to remember that a test could have a positive washback when test preparation activities are the same as language learning activities. For example, doing a pair work speaking activity before a speaking test. As you know, speaking is a productive skill, and it requires two people um, exchanging information. So making your students practice together is a good um, way to it's a good way of boosting their confidence and making them feel more relaxed before the real activity. Um, the one that the activity that is going to be assessed. In practice, we often try to test communication because this encourages teachers and students to practice speaking. Um, then we have a negative washback, um, which sometimes, which of course always limits a students' learning. Teachers and learners sometimes do activities which are not helpful for learning the language by itself. For example, when the test is not, as we have checked before, when the test is not relevant, a negative washback can happen. In some cases, when teachers are not careful, they may end up preparing an activity that does not evaluate what the teacher needs, or an activity that is too confused or difficult to be completed. As a teacher, we don't want to be unfair, because this will be detrimental for our students' performance and engagement in the future. To avoid this kind of negative washback, it is important for tests to focus only on the language ability being tested. Um, Finally, we have what is a task. Um, mm, and it is an activity that has an objective only by um, attainable only by the interaction among participants. In other words, it is it is the use of language in real context to attain a goal or an objective. Um, as you can see in the examples, each one of them aims to fulfill a communicative goal. For example, describing something. Something is describing something is a good way of using vocabulary to convey an idea. Then telling a story is useful to practice grammar, structures, and tenses. Therefore, comparing things is a good exercise to use adjectives and some other vocabulary. Okay, now it's time to for playing a game, and I need some volunteers, or maybe I'm going to choose.
Can I go first?
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's see here. Okay. Okay, uh, in this game, the participants, in this case you, you will have to say stop. I will spin the wheel, and then you will have to answer the questions containing in the number indicated by the arrow. Okay, you got it?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So, okay.
Stop.
Okay, you have question number 3. What do you understand as continuous assessment?
Well, as you indicated before, continuous assessment is the process of correcting our students, making them improve along the year. Is something that occurs during the whole year, not at the end, but it's a progressive thing. It's a progressive act that teachers do to help their students improve their skills.
Yes, perfect. It is often informal and format in this case. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay, so let me see. Armando, are you there?
Sure, Abby.
Okay. So I will spin the this. So you have to say stop whenever you want.
Stop.
Okay, you have question number 7. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
What is a negative washback?
Well, I understood negative washback when when in the teaching learning process we as professor and we as students make or develop some activities that that do not help in the process, in this process on the teaching and learning, because maybe in some cases, for example, the professor developed some activities that students didn't catch very well or are really boring. So it's a negative activity. And in some cases, students in, how can I say, they didn't realize or they didn't do the activities that the professor asked for. And they prefer to do another activities. And these kind of activities don't, do not help in the acquiring of the second language.
Yes, perfect. It was really good. Okay. Let's see. Which one? Eh, Christian, are you there? Christian Cajas.
Chris, are you there?
Yes, Professor. Sorry, I have a problem
Great.
with my
No, that's okay.
Okay, it's your turn. You have to say stop whenever you want.
stop.
Okay, 7 we already, no, 1 I think, yes, 1. You have question 1. So this is easy. What is assessment for you? What is assessment?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so assessment for me is like a manner of evaluation, but in which we, for example, check the level of understanding of our students, and we can provide a good feedback about that. It's not just like an exam or a test, because this could be taken in any moment with any material that you need in that moment in that classroom, for example.
Yes, and we can apply new strategies if we notice that the strategy that we are using is not good or something like that. Good, Chris. So let's see someone else.
An ongoing process. No?
Yes, it's an
Assessment.
ongoing process. Thanks, bro. Okay, let's see. Dieguito Monar. Diego, are you there?
Yes, Abby. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, it's your turn. Okay.
Let's see. Stop.
Okay. One is already answered, so okay, 4. You got 4. Let's see. What is the difference between formative and summative assessment? in your own words.
Well, for me, formative assessments are quizzes and tests that evaluate how someone is learning material throughout a course. And while summative assessments are quizzes and tests that evaluate how much someone has learned throughout a course. For example, summative assessment is in the end of the course, and formative assessments we can make um, after a lesson or a class.
Yes, summative assessment could happen after the unit ends.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
formative
Thank you.
assessment. We usually having during all the process of learning. Okay, thanks. Jake.
Formative.
Yes.
I think we're in order to not get mixed up. Formative is what you do like on the everyday basis. Like for example, unconsciously you correct someone, you ask them to give you an example, etc. No, so you do it every day. The purpose is to like you say, like the name suggests, form students, no, formation of the students. And summative is like at the end of a unit, and the purpose is to make decisions, no, administrative decisions, like for example, promote a student to the next level, or maybe when you are going to put them in different groups, now you're going to send students to intermediate level, advanced, etc. So they're usually they usually happen at the end of a unit of a course. No? Mm-hmm. Great.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So we have time for other classmates. But, let's see. Let's see. Raquel. Raquel, are you there? Can you help me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So you will have question number 2. So let's see. What is the difference between assessment and testing?
Okay, for me, the difference between assessment and testing is that assessment is a process that assessment is the systematic process of documenting and using empirical data on the knowledge, skill, attitudes, and beliefs to refine programs and improve students' learning. And testing is used to examine someone's knowledge of something to determine what that person knows or has learned. It measures the level of skill or knowledge that has been reached. And that's all.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
it's
very
good.
good.
But we have to remember that assessment is more it doesn't matter if it is for a grade or not. And for the case of testing, it is used to grade our students' performance to a specific topic in this case. So, Professor, do you want to say something else?
No, 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 no. No, that's exactly what it is. No, that's the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's see. Okay. Well, we have already did one. we have already done 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see number 5. Let's see. Gabriela Guaita.
Yes.
Hello, Abby.
Okay, let's see number 5. I think yes. Which are the 5 components of summative assessment? Do you remember? The 5 components.
The 5 components of summative assessment.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I don't quite remember well, but one it is validity
Yes.
and authenticity and reliability. No, I don't remember the other ones. I
Yeah,
just remember the 3.
Variety.
It is okay. The other one are volume and variety.
Okay.
Right.
But you did it
I think
too well.
I think we can also include there practicality. No, if we remember, if we review the concepts in the first book and the second book also, practicality is also one element. No, I don't know well, depending on how you define component, but it's at least is something that you have to take into consideration, because since you work with a number of students, you work with a lot of students, and so you always have to make sure that your exams are practical in terms of administering, correcting, marking, administering, and also using. No, so that maybe that should be another component there.
Okay, Prof. So now we can do the Google form, the workshop that I created for you to complete it. I will share it in the chat box. And yeah, let's see. Let me share it. So I will create another session to
yes,
see
I
how.
think.
Yes, because
yes.
we have less than a minute.
Yeah, great. So we can close this section. Paste. Yeah, send it to the chat better. And then we'll get together again in 10 minutes. Now at 7:15.
Yes, Prof. We will have 15 minutes to complete